I want to know the mind of God. I want that actual experience of God. And what I've really discerned thus far is how much of my wanting has disguised its presence. I grew up in the Fillmore district of San Francisco. Once upon a time, a culturally rich African American neighborhood where many Southerners migrated to plant the seeds of their dreams. Now, one day I'm outdoors and I'm just still able to bask in the innocent imagination of possibilities when I hear my mother call, Nika! Wow, did I know that sound? Now, when you heard that sound, you knew that you'd done something wrong. So, as I twist the little doorknob to our tiny basement apartment, there she is, standing on the other side of the door, holding a newspaper in her hand instantly. Now, my little eyeballs had gone from sheepish into shock because A, we don't get the newspaper. B, I'm realizing that I'd never seen her with one. So she unravels that paper and begins to point to a picture, but she's still glaring at me. And everything that I wanted to know about how bad this was, believe me when I say it was written in her eyes. So I cautiously leaned into that little photo where I could just barely recognize it's my dad. My father had been arrested for selling heroin. Now, perhaps she didn't understand how badly this made me feel, so just to turn that knife a little bit, she says, "That's your father. You're just like him." Can any kid ever really shake the shame of a moment like that? Remember, this is the legacy of slavery. Hey, my parents thought therapy was something made of leather. They were 19 years old when I was born and separated when I was between 2 and 3. I don't have a memory of a day or event of a time with my family all together. Boy, if you even mention your daddy and them goddamn cowboy boots he's supposed to buy you one more time, I'm gonna beat your ass. Best I walk a little softer. Think I just heard another eggshell crack. Whatever happened to these being the formative years, where you're creating values and discovering worth? And if nothing ever even feels godlike, well then, who planted this seed for my crazy passion? And on those rare occasions, when I actually got to hang out with my pop, oh man. Ooh. Well, I thought he put the cane cool. Yo, Nicky Jr., look here. I got to run a few errands, but then I'm gonna grab us a couple of burgers and we gonna go back to the pad. You dig? Hey, baby. Yeah, look here. I'll have 2 burgers, 2 fries, 2 vanilla shakes, and 1 waitress to go. You dig? Pops ended every sentence with, "You dig?" And I could feel, man, well, at his core, yeah, he was a good dude. Misguided? Yeah, misunderstood. For sure. But now you're singing my song. Nothing that I might even vaguely misconstrue for being the mind of God, mind you. But at least he was singing. And he hung out with all the jazz greats of his era. I would wake up in the morning at the pad, and that living room was literally covered with musical instruments, drug paraphernalia. What do they use these little hoses for? The sour stench of cigarettes and alcohol, and my mind is split between the foulness and the intrigue. Overflowing ashtrays and horns, just precariously placed, half draping out of their cases. My father's nickname was the Alchemist. And I don't believe it had anything to do with the cornbread, red beans, and rice that he frequently had accompanying the main dish. Yo, Nicky Jr., you know, when you was a little boy, Herbie Hancock used to love to play with you. You did? But now Train. Oh, Train. Man, Train didn't care about nothing but his music. You did? He would show up at the crib with his suit all balled up in his horn case. You dig? Deep nod. Because even years later, when Pops relayed all these marvelous stories to me, I could never tell if it was a heroin nod or a methadone nod because, well, he never really got clean and I couldn't tell the difference. So years later, when my stepfather arrives on the scene, fresh out of the military with the sir, yes sir discipline, and trying to replace this legend in my mind, well, the first thing we've got to do is we've got to get these boys back into the church. Oh, so God likes discipline? And apparently I don't like it at all. Is that why you can't hear my voice? Then I flashed, remembering an early childhood experience, and I can still hear Pastor Jackson standing at the podium. I would like to welcome our youth today, fresh up here from downstairs Sunday school. And I even hear that young Algiin, little Nicky to his family, has completely memorized the 38th Psalm. Why don't you come up here and give us a few words? Well, okay, my slow, deliberate steps up to that podium seemed like an eternity. And I had never in my life seen so many people and all staring at me with their full attention, no less. So, as I stood there behind that huge silver microphone, I could feel my heart starting to pound and I began to wet my lips. And then I said the only thing that I really imagined that they'd want to hear. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Cried all the time. Whoa! Okay. This is when Pastor Jackson leapt in to squash the blasphemy, which just happened to be all wrapped up in my authenticity. But everyone did seem to be enjoy. Well, I mean, some. Those bold enough to express their true feelings from beneath the mask of judgment and condemnation. But this type of uncensored expression, it did not bode well with my already unspoken and diametrically opposed agreement that the stepfather and I had on every subject. I mean, it's only in hindsight that I can even realize that, a lot of them wrong decisions had everything to do with not letting him be right. And to acerbate these childhood issues, we lived in a little dank, moldy, dusty basement apartment. It was only in hindsight that I even realized, well, of course I got ringworms and why they kept coming back. Girl, you know you just have to put some Vaseline on it and then cover it with a stocking cap and then just send that boy back to school. It's contagious. They just sent me right back, usually accompanied with a couple of traffic monitors. Look, the real miracle was how I ever kept up in school. I was literally raised by Captain Kangaroo. Yeah, I Love Lucy, Tennessee Ernie Ford. Oh, but my real favorite was always Andy Griffith. I thought he was dressed in style, and of course he was armed with nothing but a smile. Well, Miss Higgins, you know, I reckon Otis here ain't gonna be causing you any more problems. You got to promise to stop bringing me these pies, or I might just have to arrest you for bribery. And now I know, absolutely know, I met Barney Fife more than once or twice. I had to shoot him, Andy. He was coming at me. It was a good thing I had the old peacemaker. You saw it, didn't you, Otis? Now, this is significant. Because I'm out here searching for the mind of God. And apparently, well, he thrives in places I may not be allowed even if I knew how to get there. Where's my Mayberry? A sheriff with no gun that loves and dotes on his son. Where everybody's happy and free just to express who they be. So it turns out that this lonely, isolated, misunderstood childhood may have served as embryo for my hyperactive imagination. So in my search for the ever-evolving mind of God, I held tight to two things. One, I may not be able to describe it. Two, maybe I'll only know it when I've felt it. And the closest that I'd come to feeling it was, in fact, that Fillmore neighborhood of my youth. Or thinking about a Mayberry that I couldn't even get to. I want to know the mind of God. Would it be accepting and free to those that don't think or act like me? Would it be patient and graceful to acts that I have deemed distasteful? Would this mind remind me I am loved and I am free and more concerned with how I give than how you should see me? Or is this that mind that sees in you what you were told you could not do? And experiences is a place where we all align. What if all this separation was by design? And in the heart of man, where we're all already free, what if the only thing missing, the golden key, was the gift of our love on all we see? You did.